All right, here we go. Sarah here. Welcome back to another episode of Your Fucking Welcome. It is an extra happy Wednesday for me. As I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, but I'm at Miraval right now. And many of you know it's just, in my eyes, the happiest place on earth. And so I'm feeling inspired, I'm feeling lit up, and I have lots of things that I want to share with you in terms of takeaways and all of that kind of stuff. But today I wanted to dive into what I believe and what I feel is the secret, if you will, to mastering cash creation. And I really feel like even if you've been in the online space for a while, even if you've been making lots of money, you've sold lots of different things before, you need to hear this because, again, I've worked with many of you at all different stages, at all different levels, and I have yet, no matter how much money somebody is making, I have yet to find somebody or work with somebody or speak with somebody that doesn't have fairly regular moments around money and fear and, the bank account is a little bit lower than it's been, or, am I ever going to make money again? I deal with this at every level. And so I wanted to make this episode as a reminder, like it feels like a basic reminder, while at the same time, it's something that I want you to take away and just embrace and really, really, really hold on to the feeling and the understanding of, because I feel like when you do this, when you understand this, the stress around money kind of disappears. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing that we all need to hear and all need to embrace. And so one thing that I want to say first is that I've said this many times before, but I have nothing against the concept of manifestation. Like, we're all manifesting all the time. Like, I get those principles and I understand it all. But I tend to have somewhat of an issue when I see people online, specifically business coaches, who speak about like the manifestation of money and teach about the manifestation of money to other business owners. And a lot of times it feels kind of random to me. And so what I mean by that is, like, I'll see people who take programs and they'll be sharing their results and talking about the fact that, I manifested this check from the insurance company, or money came to me out of nowhere from this place. And that's a beautiful, wonderful thing. Like, nobody's mad at a random check. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. While at the same time, I feel like there's something very dangerous about just leaning into like the manifestation, the woo side of things as an entrepreneur. And I feel like as I say that, I know you know that, but I want to drive home the point that, as we build our businesses, it's really crucial. Like, it feels non-negotiable to me that we're really embracing both the masculine side and the feminine side of who we are and how we do things on a daily basis. And so when I hear, people talking about like manifesting money, again, like I said, I'm not mad if I get a random check out of nowhere, trust me. While at the same time, I'm not going to think about money in those terms when it comes to me being a business owner, because I'm going to be more intentional and strategic than that. And I want to operate from this place of I create money instead of it kind of like, again, coming to me at random, if you will. And so for me, the way that happens, the only way that happens in regards to what many of us do, is offer creation. It is such a comforting, freeing, wonderful feeling in my eyes, where if I were to, need $20,000 for some reason, something happened and I needed to make $20,000. Or let's just say I wanted to go away. I wanted to go on a trip, or I wanted to buy this, bracelet for $20,000. I feel like I wouldn't buy a bracelet for $20,000, but roll with me for the purpose of this example. If I wanted something, like if I really wanted to spend money in that way or create money in that way because I wanted to purchase something or invest in something, I know that I can do it. And it's not going to be me sitting there necessarily like in my journal and meditating on it. Now, don't get me wrong, there is that part of the process, but that it's not from this place of like, okay, I want to, again, call it in. I want to manifest it out of nowhere. I want to, kind of like hope and pray, which feels like, I don't know, it's a little bit probably the wrong words to use. But again, I do feel like there's this thing about when we're trying to call in money and we don't know where it's going to come from. I feel like, again, as business owners, that just feels a little bit dangerous, and it feels a little bit less intentional and strategic than we should be. Like, I think we have a responsibility as business owners to know how we create money. And so again, it's a very comforting and wonderful feeling to me that no matter what, if I needed it, if I wanted it, whatever, I could sit there and say, okay, I could sell these 5 things for, $4,000, or I could just create this thing that I sell 2 spots for $10,000, or, whichever way we slice it, I could create something that I believe in, that I care about, that I think is a really great solution, a really great experience, a really great opportunity. And I could put it out there to people and essentially, again, create money out of thin air based on the money that, again, I want or need. I can kind of, again, reverse engineer that number and pull that money out of nowhere. And I want to stress this point. And again, it feels like a basic thing to say, but I want to stress the point and like shake you and make you understand this, that when you understand this, you don't have to be as stressed about money. You don't have to be in as much fear about money. And like I said, I've worked with all of you at, all different levels, whether you're making $100, whether you're making $100,000 a month. And nobody, in my opinion and my experience, nobody is clear or safe from the experience of stressing about money. I have never seen a single person not feel that type of stress or anxiety when it comes to bills going out, or, like I said, the bank account being a little bit less than it's been. There's a lot of, again, fear emotions around that. Oh God, what if I never make another dime again? What if nothing sells this time? What if I, don't make money for the next month? Even though I made a shit ton of money last month, what if I don't make money next month? Like, I feel like a lot of people struggle to feel safe with money, no matter how much they've made. And, I'm just going to say this, but like lately, I mean, as as I've shared with you, I've done a lot of just work on myself over the past few years in terms of digging into like childhood trauma and my patterns and my stories and my beliefs about everything, like, specifically myself in terms of, again, insecurities and negative feelings and thoughts that I've had about myself and fears and, the whole thing, right? I've dove into everything I think I possibly can. I don't think there's anything left to examine at this point. And long story short, I booked a call with somebody a few weeks ago. And this was a whole other side topic. I booked a call with them. It was like $650 for a 50-minute session. And I was just, I don't know, I found them on TikTok. This is a man. I found him on TikTok and I liked some of this content. And I was like, okay, you know what? I've never worked with a man. I just want to, I want to go with this. I want to book a session and see what happens. And I felt very nice man, but I felt like most of the session was spent selling to me. And that feels really icky to me. Like when I'm coaching people, when I'm teaching people, like in terms of my programs, I always say, like, if you're going to do something like a 60-minute session, even if it's inexpensive and you're using it for the purpose of like upselling them to the next thing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you sold them on 60 minutes, they should get their 60 minutes worth of coaching time. And then you lead into the sale if they're, an aligned fit versus taking up their time. And that's for something inexpensive. Like, not that $650 is expensive, but it still felt like a good chunk of money to not really feel like safe or to not feel able to be vulnerable, because I did feel like I was basically being sold to the entire time. And so my point in saying that is, as we were talking, he started bringing up things like, okay, well, that's probably childhood trauma. And I didn't want to, overstep or be too masculine, quote unquote, but I know those things already. Like, it's not as like, you're new to me, so you're new to like my childhood trauma, but I'm certainly fucking not. And the way that I said it to him was like, I'm not being that person who's not willing to like do the work, while at the same time I feel like I've spent probably too much time doing the work over the past few years, and I'm really at this point very uninterested in going back to the past and picking at like scabs that just need to be able to heal. I'm just not interested in doing it. Of course, it might come up from time to time, right? But like, I'm just trying to train myself and get myself to this place where I'm only focused on where I'm going and I'm only focused on the possibilities, instead of ever sitting there and kind of trying to figure out the problem or fix myself or, think about what's wrong with me, quote unquote. And so I'm saying that because I find that a lot of people, just similarly, will, rather than remembering how fucking capable they are, instead of remembering, their abilities and the way in which their people want to pay them, they can sit there and have, a bill go out that's a little bit more expensive. And like I said, the bank account is a little bit lower than, they've been comfortable with it being. They don't have as much padding as they once did. And instead of focusing on the possibilities and like jumping ahead and focusing on what they could be creating and bringing in, it winds up being a situation where they kind of like revert back to what's wrong with me? Why did I do this? Like shaming themselves, making themselves wrong for it, which again, if you're spending money recklessly or whatever, if you find yourself in the situation from time to time in this cycle, yes, of course, there's probably something to look at in terms of your patterns or in terms of what's going on. While at the same time, again, as entrepreneurs, I would so rather, if somebody's sitting there saying that their bank account is $20,000 lower than they're comfortable with, rather than sitting there and stressing out about it or freaking out about it, it's like, how do we just create $20,000? How do we go ahead and focus on what's to come and what we can create and not even waste any time or energy on, again, what went wrong or the heaviness or the gray or the static there? And, I hope I don't sound too much like I'm bypassing real situations here, because that's not my intention. My intention is to remind you always that you're so fucking capable and you're so fucking powerful. And so while, again, real things happen, bills go out, so on and so forth, and it can feel scary, it can feel, nerve-wracking when a launch didn't go as well as you hoped it to and you were depending on that money. I get that. Trust me, I do. It's that elephant on your chest. It's not a fun feeling. But again, in the spirit of reminding you how capable and how powerful you are, I want to remind you that you can focus on moving forward. And I encourage you to focus on moving forward and moving forward only, and understanding that you possess the skills, the information, the talent to create the money that you want. And that's specifically when you master essentially the art of offer creation, right? I'm at Miraval right now, as I said. And it's funny because I just extended my stay. I was going to stay until today. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not done. I want to extend it one more night. So I'm sitting there looking through like the brochure that they have, and they have so many different classes and different types of massages and like body wraps, things like that. And yesterday I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm looking through the brochure, and they have these different types of treatments, and they all have just different names. And like they obviously kind of like evoke different emotions in you. Like there's one about like abundance, there's one about karma. And I just like caught myself yesterday, being here in the spirit of wanting to relax and wanting to step into a new level and, just kind of connect with myself and connect to possibilities, all of that kind of stuff. I was looking at the brochure like so vigorously, and so like I was so craving reading something, seeing something that spoke to me. And, I'm sitting there reading through it, like knowing that these services are not free, of course, but I'm so eager to find that thing that really speaks to me and feels like it's going to make me feel the way that I want to feel. And so I'm using that as an example. When you think about your money, sometimes you can feel very stressed or emotional about it. And I understand that. But somebody is on the other side of that, reading through your brochure, quote unquote, and they're so hungry and they're so craving the solution that speaks exactly to them, the experience that really feels like it's going to have them feel and shift and transform in the way that they're so hungry to shift and transform. And so it's your job always to show up and give that to people on a silver platter. Right? Like I'm playing around with the idea of, well, number one, I'm going to launch a Miraval retreat in August. I think it's August 6th through 9th. I'm waiting to hear back from them to kind of confirm dates. So just FYI about that, if you want to DM me and ask me about it, because I have 5 spots, but I already sold one of them. So 4 spots total. So DM me on Instagram if you're kind of curious or interested about that. I can get you details. But I've been playing around with the idea of even like, I know when I come here, it's just this whole new level is unlocked, right? Like I'm more relaxed, I'm more calm, I'm more certain about my future. And so I've been playing around with the idea of like, why the hell, Sarah, haven't you done a one-on-one Miraval experience where like the first day we come here, we spend the entire day phones off in the pool, doing some meditations, getting a massage, and just kind of calming down and really kind of like letting the stress and letting the fog, if you will, melt away. And then the second day, then we go into like stress strategy mode and figuring out, okay, yesterday you were able to have the space to really remind yourself of who you really are and what you really want. Okay, now how do we put those puzzle pieces in place? And something like that, I mean, it would probably be somewhere close to like $7,500 for an experience like that. But I know that by creating that and obviously making it more specific and more results oriented, again, it's just an idea in this moment, but making something like that that speaks so significantly and so powerfully to my ideal client, I know that I can sit there and whip out, $7,500 by sharing that with my audience out of nowhere, right? Like I know that I can create that really quickly because again, I know how to create the solutions that my people are craving. And so whether it's something as extravagant or not extravagant, but like as detailed and layered as like a trip to Miraval, you can do something like that. But you can also create, again, an intensive, one-on-one experience that's maybe all day and virtual where you figure out XYZ. Like the list goes on and on and on and on. So many freaking possibilities exist. And I just want to say this too. I wasn't planning on saying this, but I was having a conversation on Friday with a client. And I forget how it came up exactly, but we were talking about, just selling offers. And, I don't want to be one of those coaches who's like, nothing's selling right now. And, I don't want to speak about it from a negative perspective because to be very clear, to be crystal clear, there is more than enough money for all of us to make. Me, you, anybody listening to this right now, there is more than enough money available to each and every one of us. I think maybe the coaching space is going through a little bit of a shift, and I kind of love that it's going through a shift because the fact of the matter is a lot of us have been selling a lot of the same shit for a really long time, and at some point that bubble was going to burst. And I feel like people are craving something new, something different, something exciting. And so one thing that I was sharing with my client is that I don't know how I'm going to do this yet, but I'm feeling called to, with my Simplify and Scale program, which is a 6-month program right now, I'm feeling called to include maybe an event per quarter where, everyone in the program gets together and we have an in-person day working on strategy stuff. And I was like, that's an example of where I could have an offer that is, good and great and something I believe in, but I could add in one little element that makes it stand out, that makes it a little bit different than what other people are selling, and that can completely transform the results that I'm getting. And so, again, I'm saying that because not only do so many possibilities exist, but I feel like it's a cool moment in that people are craving something new and craving something different and craving something creative. And I, again, happen to love the fact that like it feels like the cookie cutter, the basic stuff is not cutting it anymore. And I think that's a beautiful thing because I think that's going to give space for the people who really care and who are really good at what they do to rise. And I think it's going to have a lot of people fall away. And I don't know, I'm just not mad about that. And so all of that to say, I just feel like I want to stress to you here that creative solutions, powerful offers that people are dying to pay for, they're within your grasp. Like there are things that you can create, there are things that you can think of, there are things that you can put together quickly and sell and make money. And I want you to embrace and focus on that in terms of your, consistency with money, your cash creation versus ever kind of, just kind of going through the motions or focusing on selling something you don't care about anymore. Or again, I see a lot of smart people kind of get too sucked into the woo-woo side of all of this. And they're sitting around, meditating and journaling, thinking money is going to, come and like they're going to call it in. And again, not to say that that doesn't happen, but that's not how you build a business. You don't build a business at random. You build a business by being strategic and intentional. And to me, with what all of us do for the most part, we do that by offer creation. We do that by creating really, really, really good shit that people want and that people need and that people pay us for happily and easily. And when you master the art of that, I'll say it again, you really don't have to stress about money anymore. You don't have to be in fear about money anymore because you know what is possible for you. And so this Friday, the price for my program, the Fuck Yes Offer Formula, goes up. It's at pre-sale price right now for $750. There's also a payment plan of 2 monthly payments of $400. then it goes up after Friday to 1,000. And so I feel like this is worth thousands in terms of what I'm sharing and presenting and creating in this program that allows you to, again, master this art of offer creation so that you always have something to sell and you always know how to put together things that make you money easily. It's worth thousands in my opinion. And so the fact that it's $750 right now as pre-sale price is like a total you're fucking welcome price, right? Like I really feel like it's such a wonderful opportunity for you at a no-brainer investment. And so obviously always sarah-yan.com for all of the details. Again, it does go up after Friday. And so if you want to lock in that pre-sale price, I would definitely move. I hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, I would really, really, really appreciate it if you took the time to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps the show a ton, and I would be super grateful.